Welcome back to another Talk Dragon Tuesdays with RPW. So today we're going to talk about the breeding event that is coming and the second wave of dragons and the rider that will be here this event. So if you haven't already, looked into it and found out what their spells are, we're going to kind of go over those today. There will be no flying of these dragons or videos of them flying as they have not been released. So this will be limited to what is available to us as of right now. But the first dragon I want to go over is going to be Samrod. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but with this dragon, he is going to be a legendary earth sorcerer. And let's kind of go over his lore because it's really cute. The summer sun is a blessing for some and a curse for others. The pure of heart simply enjoy its life-giving warmth. Those of malicious intent must fear the wrath of Samrod and his purifying flames. Throughout the summer, Samrod scours the woodlands for the impure of heart. By harnessing the sun's solar energy, Samrod purifies the land, ensuring that the unworthy never make it to the harvest season. Okay, so let's go over these spells. The first thing is going to be the Summer's Purification, and this is going to be a red spell, and it will take 2 rages. This has a 4-second cooldown in between. Now with this, you're going to be able to heavily damage the towers in a targeted area. According to this, it's going to be 40%, and at the same time, you're going to restore 10% of the dragon's base HP health through each tower that's destroyed. Alright, so the next spell is the Northern Lights, and this is the dark version, so there are 2. And in this particular spell, you will have this as a blue spell, and it will also take 2 rages. Now, it says the ribbons of energy create an invincible shield that creates rage marks when destroyed. Spell has 6-second duration and a 4-second cooldown. I cannot wait to see this in action. Alright, so the third one is going to be the Solar Strike. And this will be a red spell, and it's going to have 0 rage. So even though it's red, it does have no rage. So, and this is another one of those that you can, just like in the past dragon that they released, you're going to be able to spam this. So what this is going to do is heavily damage a targeted tower. So it's constantly be able to target a tower with this. But it does have a 6-second cooldown in between. Now, the fire turret resist is what it has for resist, which means it will reduce damage down by a fire turret by 70%. And that is a pretty good one, guys. So far, he sounds like he has some amazing spells. I just like to kind of see this in the making. Alright, and then of course down here, we do know that it will be coming with the following runes and the glyph. So you can get the Epic Rune of Purification and a Legendary Rune of Purification, which both will increase the Summer's Purification damage. And then you can also get the Mythic Glyph of Purification, which not only increases the Summer Purification damage, but it will actually increase your Rage generation as well. So those are going to be what you're going to be able to utilize on these dragons. And of course, right here is the portrait that you will get with him, which is the Dryad. Now let's look at Far. While the changing leaves are beautiful, they also herald an approach of the great winter. Resources are scarce, and not all will survive the cold. Far embodies these harrowing months. His purpose is to protect the woodlands and ensure its survival. The weak must be called for the strong to survive, and Far enacts in this mandate himself. Okay, so this dragon is a legendary dark hunter, and his spells are going to be the Autumn's Reap, which is a blue spell 2 rage, and it says gain 85% increased damage and 50% rage generation for a 4-second duration. It will restore your health by 20% per tower destroyed while the spell is active, and this spell has a 4-second cooldown. The next spell is Entrap, which they explain is kind of like Lockdown, and it will be a white spell and only cost 1 rage. Now this will temporarily disable towers in a targeted area for 12 seconds. So it's got a pretty good time frame there, and disabled towers cannot attack or use super shots. The disabled effect lasts for the spell duration or until the next time it takes damage, whichever comes first. And the next spell is going to be Vanish. This is a blue spell, and it is a 0 rage, which is pretty freaking fantastic. So this dragon is where the dragon will become invisible and cannot be targeted until it is attacking. So basically, like the cloak, you're going to be able to hide yourself. Once you start attacking, then you will be noticed. Now, it does have an 8-second duration and a 6-second cooldown. And then last but not least, its resist is going to be the ice turret resist, which reduces damage from ice turrets by 70%. Okay, so let's go over the runes. Okay, so it's going to get Epic Rune of Harvest, which increases the Autumn's Reap duration. And then it can also earn a Legendary Rune of Harvest, which increases again the Autumn's Reap duration. And then last but not least, the Mythic Glyph of Harvest. This will increase the Autumn's Reap of duration and the Hunter ammo. So none of these will actually help with the Vanish or the Entrap, only the Autumn's Reap. And from what I understand, you will not be able to use a cloak, rune, or glyph on this. So that is what it's going to come with. And then as for portrait, it will be the Magdual Feral Shaman. So this will be a mountain man that spent too long among the forest spirits of the twilighted woodlands and was eventually possessed by the magic of the woods. Now thoroughly mad, Magdual is more animal than man. So it's a pretty interesting one. It is nice to see a guy one, but he is a little crazy looking. I will say that. Okay, special to this season, they have brought in a veteran rider, and the name is Terrace, the Druid of Flame. Now, with this particular rider, you have to unlock the first 2 dragons we just mentioned in order to unlock her. So once you've finished off all of the other lines of those 2 dragons, you will get the chance to unlock this one. Now, she's not going to be cheap. This rider will definitely cost you, because like I said, you're having to unlock the first 2 dragons, and then once you've unlocked those, and like I said, when I say unlock, I mean complete those lines on those dragons, then you will get the opportunity to start getting her. Now, when you start this, you're going to be able to notice that she does have a little more power than the previous dragons, and that is just her base power. That does not include once you put her armor on her. And if you look here, the armor is actually beautiful. So when it comes to her, she is the element fire, so you're going to want to put her on a fire dragon. And whenever you add specific stuff like the battle staff, it's going to give you nice buffs. Now, it will have slightly more HP buff and attack buff than Grog, for example. It does have a little less attack buff than Oksana, but it does post for a very good dragon rider. However, I don't know that that is what makes it worth it. However, I would say that the gear comparison definitely makes a big standing. For example, Grog had a 10% on both, as well as Kayla and Tor and Oksana. But this one is going to bring you a whopping 25 points, or I should say buff percentages. So this is a pretty big one. This is what's going to make it worth it. However, if you can't get all the way in and get all of that gear, you're not going to be able to see this. So that is if you get the maximum amount of gear. All right, so is this rider worth it? I have said numerous times in my past videos that I feel the riders are worth it if you have a use for it. So if you don't have any fire dragons, like if you didn't get Chthonic, then no, it's not worth it. If you have the money to spend and you can get Chthonic and this, then it's totally worth it. However, the thing is, you're going to have to get through 2 dragons. So if you've already really started heavily on the other and you have 0 sigils, then I suggest that you hold off. Like I said, unless you've got the money. I don't think that this is going to be a serious loss for anybody that didn't get to partake in her. So when it comes to the rider, I don't know. When it comes to the dragons, however, I think they're both wonderful dragons. It's either way. If you like a sorcerer, I think you're going to be happy with a sorcerer. However, I'm not too thrilled that she doesn't have a white spell. I think sorcerers are way better when they have a white spell. And then as for the hunter, I think this is going to be interesting for me because I am not avid on hunters. I'm not against them, but I haven't really learned how to fly them yet. So I guess I'll be learning soon, and I'll be sharing my fails and my victories with you guys. So I'm pretty excited. I know what I'm getting, and that is fur. So with that being said, let's go on to the next subject, which is that the breeding event is coming this week. So if you do not have your dragons already to breedable, then it's time to get that started. You've got a little less than a day really before the breeding event begins. So get in there, get the last minute egg token missions done, and get those dragons to breedable. Now, the thing is, I want to remind you, and this is how I make sure that my events are always 100% successful, is I prepare and plan each and every event. So right now you should be going and seeing what you have and what dragon you need to breed. Don't just go in there and start breeding for points. Breed the next dragon that is on your plan. If you don't have a plan, then you need to set one up. There are plenty of breeding plans and paths out there, between Superman's Guide to the Red's Guide. If you go on WarDragons.info, you will find a lot of information in their website on this. So if you don't have a plan, I suggest you get that together now. Okay, so another thing we are to look forward to is the Team Quest will be returning this week. Now, I know on the forums there was a lot of feedback that went back to PG and told them, you know, look, we weren't happy. There was way too many resources being utilized and way too much effort being put in for measly prizes. And they say they've heard this and that they will work on adjustments. I don't know that that's going to happen this event, or if we're looking at that happening in future events. But I will tell you guys, if you look at my past videos, there are some ways you can get around this. And I'm not saying use your resources. If one says, you know, 40 hammers, skip that one. Where is that worth 30 coins? It doesn't make any sense. But if it's a, you know, 400 super shots, these kinds of things are possible if you do it right and you work together as a team. So definitely try for it. If everybody at least gets that 10 a day, you will make some headway. I know that we made the level 4 chest, so I was pretty excited about that. It wasn't amazing rewards for what we put in, but I do think that it was some fun rewards. So definitely try to get this one done. If there's something you don't like about it, reach out and tell PG, because that is how they're going to make changes. That's how they're going to fix things, is if we all speak up and say, hey, this isn't right. This is not what's making me happy. So be sure to reach out. Okay, so beyond the team quests, other changes coming, like with the new event called Kingdom Wars. Now, I am going to be doing some more research on that this week, and hopefully I can come up with a pre-Kingdom Wars guide for you. It'll come out on Thursday, so I won't be doing a breeding event guide this week. It will be more like a pre-event guide to the Kingdom Wars, because it will be coming the following week, and nobody knows what this is really about yet, as in actually putting your hands in there and playing with this event. So hopefully we can get out as much information as possible so that you know how to best do this event. Outside of that, I do have a few other things coming this week. For example, I will be getting 4 on day 1, so be sure to check back for some dragon reviews of him. As soon as I get him to a certain level, I will do a low level review, and then a mid level, and then one around my level, which is Sapphire. So if you're above Sapphire, look to somebody else on reviews on him, because I won't be able to help you there. And then of course tomorrow there will be another beginner's guide video, and as I said before, the Kingdom Wars. But next week, I think there's going to be a pretty cool surprise here on Talk Dragon Tuesdays, so be sure to check back. Alright, so if you have any questions, be sure to put that in the video comment section below. And before you leave, don't forget to give my video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and then hit that little bell for notifications. Happy hunting!